When the Padres traded a bunch of prospects and highly touted players for Juan Soto 3 years ago, I was like, okay, this franchise is on that winning energy. They mean business. And then they tried to sign a big name player that offseason. And when I mean a big name player, I mean anyone with a pulse willing to take their money. Maybe not even that. Just have a body at least, please. They tried to give Aaron Judge $400 million. He said no. They tried to give Trey Turner more money than the Phillies offered him. He said no. So they were like, oh shit. Okay, who's left? Xander Bogaerts. The Red Sox want to give you 6 years, $160 million. How does 11 years, $280 sound? Perfect. Get over here. When the Padres did this, I was like, okay, this franchise is on meth. Great. And as stupid as some of these contracts were, like giving you Darvish, a 36-year-old, 6 more years, as much as they looked like they'd age like milk, the Padres were clearly in the mode of we just do not care because, for one, and a lot of people give credit to this, their owner, Peter Seidler, was sick and on his way out. He knew that and wanted to do as much as possible for a championship before he left this planet. And although that partially may be true, I think this all goes a little deeper than that. And I definitely think what just happened this trade deadline shows that. Just like this shows that 51% of you aren't subscribed yet, so if you enjoy the videos and haven't yet, consider hitting that button, as the Padres were in a very interesting spot heading into the deadline. They were in an interesting spot heading into the season, and it just got even more interesting as we got to the trade season. Reason being because their window to win a championship just seems to be closing in relatively fast. Several of their players hit free agency after this season, and their farm system has shot down in talent because of all the trades the general manager AJ Preller's made over the last few years to really try to push them over the top. So even though the Padres are a good team this year, fully buying in on this team just felt dumb to do, because why not take advantage of some of these temporary players who you probably won't re-sign and get value for them? Not that they should fully sell. You can get some players to win now, but build your farm back up in the process too. Like one foot in, the other out. Well, AJ Preller looked at this situation his team is in. He looked at how weak his farm system has become compared to what it once was and went, only one plan in mind for the deadline.
Chaos. I'm an agent of chaos.
Started with the blockbuster move of getting Mason Miller from the A's, who for the longest time, according to the A's, seemed untouchable. But in the words of Yankee general manager Brian Cashman, some guys are just more touchable than others.
That's what she said.
Hey. Nice.
So off to San Diego goes Miller and starting pitcher JP Sears. And Miller, I think they plan on just having him be a reliever for this year. They'll just keep him doing what he's been doing. But there's also talk they plan on eventually making him into a starter. And that's not entirely new if you weren't aware. The A's were also thinking about this, but obviously a move to the rotation hadn't happened yet. Bottom line is the Padres got a great arm, whether he stays a reliever for now or forever. And another valuable thing that comes with Miller is his years of control. He's got 4 more after this. The cost for getting Miller was, as you would expect, a lot. The Padres traded away Leo DeVries, their top prospect, and tacked on 3 more. Their number 3 prospect, their number 13 prospect, and number 17th ranked prospect. So when this trade happened, as much as they had to give up, it made sense for San Diego if they also ended up trading their closer that they currently had, Robert Suarez, because Suarez, who I didn't realize was 34, by the way, I thought he was like maybe 29. Well, he's one of the guys who's a free agent after this year. It makes sense. I mean, you trade him, get prospects for him, and Miller slots right into the closer's role for the next 4 years if you want to keep it that way. I honestly assumed this is what they were going to do. Same thing with Dylan Cease. He's a free agent after this year. Plenty of teams wanted starting pitchers. He seemed inevitable to go, except Preller had zero intent on getting rid of anyone if they were established big leaguers, apparently. If you're on the team, you're chilling. If you're a prospect,
Get the fuck out of here!
He then struck a deal with the Royals for Freddy Freeman off Timu, aka Freddy Fermin, their catcher. This one was definitely confusing. At least at first it was. Like, it makes a little more sense now, but still, like, Fermin cannot hit. He's not hitting. Now, that's not why they traded for him. It's for his defense, which is very good. And the catching production the Padres were getting so far this season, let's just put it this way, yes, you watching this, all you need to do right now is pick up a baseball bat and you're already as good as your average San Diego Padres catcher in 2025. So Fermin, as poor of a hitter as he is still an upgrade offensively, especially overall, like with the defense. And he has 4 years of team control. I just think what they gave up to get him was a little like they traded away 2 pitchers, both rookies who have been pretty good this year. I guess they felt the trade-off was necessary and they have enough pitching and not enough catching, which is probably true. I just think I personally value as much pitching as possible, even if it means really weak catching. Well, they were far from done. Ryan O'Hearn has been a pretty obvious trade piece for the Orioles, so it was a matter of when, not if, he'd get dealt. I really thought he was going to the Brewers. Like, that seemed like the perfect fit. Well, AJ Preller didn't give a Seemingly from the clouds, he strikes a deal with Baltimore to get not even just O'Hearn, but Ramon Laureano too. And this trade addresses what's been a pretty weak Padres offense, which, judging by some of the names on this team, you wouldn't necessarily immediately, if you don't watch them every day, think they've been as bad offensively as they've been. But no, it's been a struggle. They're 22nd in OPS this year. So they needed some hitting, and that's where O'Hearn and Laureano come in. By the way, I just want to point out the Orioles, the O's really had a guy whose name starts with O and couldn't even be good enough to keep him. Like, they can't even do that right. Anyway, they both have been the Orioles' best hitters this year, by far. Like, it's not even really a conversation. And they're both gone now. And as expected, the Padres had to give up a lot. 6 prospects, to be exact. And they're pretty much all the fakest names you can imagine. Boston Bateman, Cobb Hightower, Tyson Neighbors, Brandon Butterworth, Victor Figueroa, and Tanner Smith. Like, what in the chat GPT did I just read? Well, anyway, there goes 6 more guys from the farm, 3 of which were pretty highly ranked prospects. They still weren't done. They then traded for Nestor Cortez from the Brewers along with Jorge Quintana, one of their prospects, in exchange for Brandon Lockridge, a 28-year-old white guy who's never had that much success in the big leagues. He hasn't even been in the big leagues that long. He's now a Brewer, aka the entire league should now be on notice. He's going to become Barry Bonds. Padres get immediate potential help with Nestor in the rotation, who's been hurt really all year. So this is clearly just a low-risk, high-reward scenario for both parties involved. AJ Preller still wasn't done. Trading for Will Wagner, the son of newly inducted Hall of Famer Billy Wagner. Willie isn't a pitcher like his dad, though. He's an infielder. Padres get him in exchange for catching prospect Brandon Valenzuela. There goes another one. Padres sent away 10 prospects and 14 players total they shipped off. Insane. And honestly, I respect the hell out of it. I recently talked about the Angels and how them kind of not even fully buying in on their team now, but them not selling and throwing the towel in for this season was kind of stupid to do because they're obviously not as good as all these other teams, so they should be selling. Like, it just seems like you're killing your future for not even a good now. But I do think there's something fun about that, especially if you're not an Angels fan. And I think the same applies here to the Padres, although it's obviously different because the Padres are actually a good team right now with a legitimate chance to win a championship. So with them, it actually makes a lot of sense compared to the Angels. I was live on trade deadline day and a Padres fan in the chat said something along the lines of he didn't know whether to be happy or curl up into a corner because of all these trades. And that couldn't be more valid of a way to explain how Padres fans must feel right now. Because on one hand, this is great and cool that they're going all in and trying to win a championship, but it also looks like it's destroying not even just their future in general, but their near future too. I think this plan by the Padres is definitely all or nothing. Like, they're setting themselves up to, if they don't get a championship out of it, it'll be a complete failure. It's hard to not look at it like that with all these moves that were made. But it's also not that black and white. It never is. This doesn't guarantee anything, good or bad. But I will say in a general sense, I think having general managers like AJ Preller is great for baseball. To have a guy who isn't afraid to make so many trades, someone who isn't afraid to go against what the computer might say is wrong to do. I mean, if every team around the league didn't want to go too crazy and were hell-bent on just holding on to all their best prospects, it'd be a lot more boring. It's fun to have a variety of different styles around the league, even if some of those styles seem stupid. And it's definitely not all stupid. Holding on to prospects 100% of the time would definitely be just as dumb as trading them all away. At the end of the day, most prospects do not pan out, no matter how hyped up they are. Now, does that mean you should just trade all of them away and not give a crap? No, but AJ Preller playing the role of I don't give a crap what any computer or person says, I'm gonna get coked up and treat this like a video game is pretty awesome. And time will tell who's right, but right now, the Padres have a real shot at a championship, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching. Love you. Bye.